All right, how's it going, everybody? Today we are on week 3 of the mini cut. Final week. Start with body weight. As you can see, this sharp dip in my body weight is reflected in my weigh-ins, or is a reflection of my weigh-ins, actually. So this week started at 248 and ended at 243. I believe my goal end weight was like 242 for the end of this mini cut, and I'm already there. I may push it a little bit more just to get a little bit more, body fat off, and either that'll buy me more room to mass and be more aggressive, or I won't have to cut as aggressively when I get to my contest diet. So, I'll go over the macros here for the week. I kept the calories a little bit lower to kind of buy some buffer room. My goal calories for this mini cut were 2,700, and I was shooting for around 25, 26, somewhere in there, knowing that I have some sugar-free stuff throughout the day, and just enjoying it a little bit more. So I know that some of that stuff does add up and have calories, so I kind of gave myself some room for it, and it seemed to work out just fine. Maybe I am a little more aggressive than I would have liked to have been, but the way I see it is, I mean, it's better to be more aggressive in a dieting situation than less, because you can always add food back in, which I may do towards the tail end of this week if I'm just really dropping weight. As far as how like I feel, I definitely have some diet fatigue. It's funny. This last week, I've been like forgetting stuff, and I never forget stuff. Like I've just been leaving stuff at home. Like I went to the gym to train some clients, and I left my food here. I went to work and I left my food here, my other job, and it's like I never do that. So I am kind of like brain fogged, diet fatigued, whatever you want to call it. And it's okay though. Like the hunger isn't too bad. I would like say this is generally what like a 4 week out feels like for myself. I mean, this is probably reflective of what the calories would look like, maybe lower. And my coping strategies as I've gotten more experience to become better, my ability to lean into the hunger and lean into it altogether have gotten better, and I actually do enjoy it. Just because I've been in off season for so long, and it feels good to have. It's funny. I'm not like more energetic per se. I just feel like lighter, and which I physically am lighter. I guess I am a little more energetic. Like I definitely have more ability to say, "Hey, I need to get this done," and my ability to call on it is much better. I don't know what that is. Maybe that's just because I have a lower blood glucose, and as a result, like my body's like, "Hey, we need to get up and eat," or whatever it is. But my sense of urgency, my ability to get tasks done is better. I feel clearer, so I'm actually really looking forward to this prep because of that reason. Like I thought I would miss food a lot, and I did like the first week, especially because my insulin was really high and I was going hypo all the time. But I feel really good now, and I feel like I'm in a groove. Like it's kind of sad that I'm going back to massing, although this is like a really aggressive deficit, so I would definitely need some time off or a diet break eventually. I feel like I could sustain this, which is a really really good sign going into prep later this year or early 2022. Is just that like I'm in a good spot mentally, and this kind of gave me like a little like window into prep, or like a little peek as to what it'll be like, and it's been nice. It's been enjoyable. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm spending less time eating. I'm able to move more, and I'm more productive. And I know that towards like 4 weeks out, I'll probably be less productive, but because you can't really get around the fact that you have lower body fat and that slows you down. But right now, I feel pretty good. So yeah, what I was gonna say with the weight is, I mean, I'm down. Like my goal was 12 and a half pounds, and we're down as of this morning almost 13. So that's perfect. Data collection here. This is my weight average for the week. It's so fast that it just like doesn't really matter. Steps 14,000, which is my normal average. Waist is down a half inch. Caliper sight from my belly button is down a little bit as well. Blood pressure is fucking perfect. Heart rate, good. Glucose, fasting glucose, good. My compliance was on point as usual. Excuse me. Hunger was a little bit higher towards the evening time, but I was able to deal with it. Energy level a little bit lower than last week, but still pretty good compared to some of these other weeks. Sleep quality, good. I felt like I slept pretty well this week in 7 hours and 20 minutes. It's along my phone said I was asleep. Life and joint stress are better, or the same for the most part. Farm, no changes. Write that out until the deload. I'll actually show you my blood work panel because this is just like the relative changes in my blood work, and I still need to fill out the rest of this. I'll show you photos first. So right here. Here are your changes. For sure, more dug out in the abs and the hamstrings for sure. Like you can see my back altogether. You can see much more of a V taper. Hamstrings are definitely getting more detail in there. Waist may look a little bit smaller. I'm going to start looking flat here soon, most likely. And it'll be very short-lived because I'll just start refeeding after that. So maybe these next week photos will look more flat. You can see right here the delt and trap. There's a little bit more definition there. Chest you can't tell too much, but yeah, overall, like I would say a pretty drastic change week to week, especially like look at this right here. So pretty cool there. And go by blood work next. And then here's the just photos compared side by side. Again, right here. That's what I was talking about. Some in the delt and trap separation. Right here, waist came in a little bit. More V-taper, more definition in the mid-back. More definition in the hamstrings. I really like this shot. This is my lat spread when I lean a little bit more forward. And again, hamstring right here, you can see this. And this shot, I think, just makes you look super wide, and I'm really happy with it. And front double, waist maybe a little bit. And that's it as far as photos. So just right on track. Everything's going great. And then I just wanted to go over my blood work real quick. This is essentially to assess whether I'm going to continue massing, whether I'm going to, blast anabolics, if there's any red flags I need to keep an eye out for. And first thing on this panel was my CRP was high. Now, my CRP has never been high. It's never been detectable, at least as far as the blood panel. A lot of things can influence this, and it kind of concerned me a little bit at first, but I was actually watching some of John Jewett's lectures pre-Olympia, and he had the same thing occur to him. And his was due to contracting the C word, and this could have been the C word, this could have been the flu, it could have been a number of things that could have influenced this being higher. And I did feel pretty shitty that week, so could have been something like that. Not too sure, but I'm going to keep an eye on it. I also had an inflamed shot around this too. And CRP, as far as I know, is not like a super selective test, meaning it doesn't just check heart inflammation. It's like total systemic inflammation, which we believe to be an indicator of cardiovascular disease. So if this is chronically high, and I think John was mentioning that people who were like hospitalized for the C word had CRPs of like 100. So obviously in a relative increase, this is pretty high and something I should keep my eye on, but in an absolute increase and off of the reference range, this isn't anything to be too concerned about. What I will do is I will test my blood again during my maintenance period. So after the next two consecutive massing blocks, and if this is trending upward, then you may need to pull the plug on prep or take action. And I will also make sure I get more selective testing done for my heart on the next blood panel, meaning I will get ApoB, which will test particle size, cholesterol size. I will get homocysteine as well, just because I don't think this is enough to go off of Yeah, this says here baseline CRP value secondary to infection or inflammation. Okay, and then we have our glucose, creatinine, good, good. These are good, especially because these generally pick up muscle damage as well. I did do this test on a deload though. Protein, good. AST, ALT slightly elevated, nothing to be concerned about as these aren't selective markers. They test, they can pick up muscle damage as well, and that's why we look at GGT, which I will get to in a moment. Estrogen's like perfect, and this is with 500 milligrams of testosterone and 500 milligrams of primobolan. So that cycle that you saw, pretty good spot. That's why I keep my testosterone higher, and I don't see the reason of keeping it low unless I'm like pre-contest. Thyroid good, testosterone high, SHBG low, good, pre-test high. DHEA high, good. I started supplementing with DHEA, started with 25 milligrams and went up to 50 and got that to the top or higher in the reference range as you want it to be higher if you are on hormone replacement. Ferritin, this is iron storage in the blood, not too high, which is good. FSH low, obviously, because I have no endogenous production of testosterone. GGT, so this is why I wasn't too concerned about my liver enzymes. One, liver enzymes, again, affected by muscle damage, and two, not super selective, so GGT is a better marker of your liver status, and this is perfectly within range. Hemoglobin A1C, good, within range. PSA, good, around where it's been. No protein in the urine, which would be an indicator of kidney issues. Other urinalysis tests are good. Insulin 1.5. Another reason why I've chosen not to take metformin is my insulin always comes back really low. And this is maybe in part from me. I think high activity levels, one, not getting too fat is another. And I think also using exogenous insulin when my carbohydrates get excessively high, just a small amount to take some of the stress off the pancreas has helped. At least that's how I feel. I actually can't substantiate that with any evidence besides I think it may have helped. So that's just kind of that. RBC, hemoglobin, and hematocrit are high. Now, this is where people would be like, oh, red flag, I'm going to donate blood. I don't see the case because I see so many people associate this with viscous blood, meaning your blood's thick, you're going to have a heart attack. This does not indicate your blood is thick. This just indicates you have a higher volume of blood. Now, this would be concerning if your blood pressure was high as a result, but I do not have high blood pressure. I also do not have high platelets. High platelets would be would show that my blood is viscous. Okay, this would mean my blood is thick. Don't have high platelets. High ferritin, as I showed you earlier, would show that I have high iron in my blood, which can cause damage to organs and tissues. Don't have either of those. When you have those in conjunction with high RBC, hematocrit, and hemoglobin, that's when you should be really concerned. Now, I may donate blood just for the heck of it. I also believe the telmisartan that I started to use needs some time to work, as I've heard takes people a couple months. And I may need to never donate again if this medication affects me how it's been affecting other people. So I may just wait. Think about it. We want oxygen carrying capacity. We want the endurance factors. This is why athletes take EPO and things of the like. So, and if you donate when you don't need to, you can become weak and tired and lethargic. So there's a great video by Stan Efferding where he talks about this. I will link it below, and you can check that out. But man, there's so many people who just regurgitate, oh, this is dangerous, and it's not particularly dangerous. I was looking at like lymphocytes and some of these other markers to see if it was a illness. None of them were particularly high, so not too sure. But it could have again been inflammation from a shot that I did as well. So iron good, within range. I've had this high before. One thing I've been doing is eating dairy with my red meat meals to attenuate some of the iron absorption. Caffeine also does this as well, but caffeine also attenuates calcium absorption, so you have to be careful. I take a little bit of IP6 as well to keep that within range. The only other thing that was potentially a red flag, but it's also just like, man, one that is really difficult for bodybuilders. HDL and LDL. This is not my highest my LDL has been, and this is probably the lowest my HDL has been, which is funny because telmisartan has been known to increase the HDL. What can I do about this? Not very much. I've actually lowered my saturated fat intake significantly, and it's made very little impact on my cholesterol, to be honest with you. I was eating more fatty red meat last off season, and my HDL was probably higher. My LDL was probably about the same. So I don't really think that lowering saturated fat intake is going to make much of a difference, at least for myself. There's also just genetic hypercholesterolemia and genetic predispositions for issues with cholesterol or higher cholesterol. This doesn't mean that you're necessarily in a dangerous spot. Now, if I was having consistently high CRP and high LDL and low HDL, and my homocysteine was high when I test that next, then we can start to say, hey, look, we probably should do even more tests on your heart to make sure it's in a good place. But my guess is that as soon as I go to a maintenance period, my HDL will come back up. LDL will probably stay about the same. I can take a little more citrus bergamot, and I can start taking krill oil and see if it makes a difference. And then again, with the telmisartan, it may take some time to actually take effect, and then we can see what that does. I want to try to avoid statins, and I will just continue to do more rigorous testing. I am overdue for a cardiac CT scan, so I'm going to be calling some labs here soon and trying to get that done. And then after prep, I'd like to get an echocardiogram done. It's a pretty pricey test, but it'll tell me a pretty good idea about my heart. And T4 is good, TSH is good, and vitamin D hydroxy, perfect. This is at 10,000 IUs a day, and it's about to be winter, so definitely not going to drop that. May even need to increase that. And a lot of people should do this test because a lot of people are deficient in vitamin D. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the week. I mean, I will fill out that spreadsheet, and I will maybe show you next week just kind of the relative changes in my blood work. Again, it's just writing out the deficit at this point. Not much that needs to be changed as far as the diet. I'm right on track where I need to be, and I'm really excited to start massing again. So if you have any questions, ask them in the comments or leave a comment on my site. I will put the write-up down below and that link to that video where Stan talks about blood viscosity and donating blood. And I will see you all next week for my deload and recap of the mini cut. Talk to you soon.